I am going to call the meeting to order for the CR committee at 7:04 p.m. Could I have a roll call vote or just roll call notice of who's present? So Selena Thomas.
Selena Thomas, remote here.
Emily
Fine, remote.
Mike Potts, present.
And Veronica Cal present. And the only committee member missing is Todd Melanson. All right, I'd like to announce that the meeting is being recorded and it will be uploaded to YouTube. Are there any other parties recording? All right, hearing none. Additions or deletions to the agenda? I don't have any. Does anybody else from the committee? None? All right, no additions or deletions. The minutes for Sabrina sent out the minutes for 12:04. I hope everybody's had time to look at them. Are there any comments on the minutes? Or should we take a motion first?
I've read them. I'm all set.
You're all set?
Yeah.
Selena, any comments on the minutes?
Nope, they all look good.
Same with me. All right, is there a motion to accept the minutes of December 4th? Actually, on the agenda, it says 2026, and it should say 2025. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of December 4, 2025.
And is there a second?
Selena Thomas, second.
Roll call vote for approving the minutes, starting with the remote folks. So Selena, let's start with you.
Selena Thomas, yes.
Emily Fine, yes.
Mike Potts, yes.
And Veronica Kell, yes. All right, so I'll get those stamped in and put up on the website through the town clerk's office. Moving on to the meeting business. Anna Wilkins isn't present yet, and I know she was coming in person today. So Selena, this is your call. Should we wait for her or should we get started?
So I think there's a few items that are specific to the town more so than to the CR holder that we could start with.
All right. I should just say that Anna Wilkins works for North County Land Trust, and they have accepted, they have voted to accept the CR and to work with us on that. So let's get started then, Selena, with whatever is town specific, and I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, so Tesa met with NHESP, Miss Deanne from NHESP, Dan Wells, who's also online remote, and Ryan, who is there in person, I can see, were there to support us. And
Dan is LEC?
Yes.
And Ryan is?
Dillis and Arroyo.
Dillis and Arroyo. Okay, thank you.
So Miss Deanne brought up an item that she wants some more information about the well as part of the permitting process for Tesa to get the permit from NHESP and MISA. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan.
That's correct. Yeah, they're looking ahead. We know that may be a while, if ever, before that the well gets developed. But Natural Heritage wants to include that in as permit everything now current and future proposed in one swoop, because we are going through MIPA in addition to needing a permit from Natural Heritage. So this will avoid having to go back to everybody revising their Natural Heritage's permit, starting fresh with MIPA. So it makes sense. I don't think they expect all the engineering details, but I think our approach is to use with Dillis and Roy's plans to put a kind of conceptual limit of work that in kind of the worst case scenario that would be needed for clearing or any kind of land alteration for that project. So we have kind of a envelope that's permitted in advance.
So this isn't just town then, this would also affect the CR holder, correct?
Yeah, so it could possibly affect the CR holder. We definitely would need to have information available for them, I guess.
I'm confused. Why? I guess my question is, and so what you're saying is that DEP wants the well engineered?
No, I'm saying we're permitting just kind of a footprint, they're not requiring all the engineering at this point. That would be done when and if the town wants to pursue that. We're just identifying on the CR kind of an easement. So that can be done. The language will be in the CR, for when the time comes. It'll be an allowed use within the CR.
Yes.
So we need Dillis and Roy to craft, a CR plan that identifies this easement, and the easement will kind of coincide with a limit of work that Natural Heritage will approve.
So it's part of the site plan that we need to do for the CR. I'm trying to remember what you called it.
It's a recordable plan, meets and bounds conservation restriction plan. So that's required for the CR portion. The Executive Office of Environmental Affairs has to approve that. That plan gets recorded. But Natural Heritage, reviews that and weighs in on it too. But ultimately, it's the EEA approving that.
Correct. So, all right. So yes, on that area would definitely be, if they want to survey out that section so that it is, identified more definitely, as well as the section for for TESA, for the soccer fields. I think that's doable. And then we have different allowed uses for the well site in the CR. And we used what was in the bylaw for wells. I forget the section, I'm going through this right now.
But you said worst case scenario. I'm just wondering how detailed the plan has to be. Does it include like any road work, any construction site where they're going to put construction materials? How specific does it need to be?
Yep, absolutely. I don't know, Ryan, if you want to weigh in, but certainly some kind of access in for equipment, staging area, and maybe is there going to be a fence around it? Things like that.
Yeah, I think the actual details of the well itself and if assumingly there's going to be a building there with components in there, we don't need the specifics of that, but a generic footprint of what that access road would look like, whether it's 20 feet wide or 24 foot wide, with I assume a turnout near that building, where the well is going to be located. I think that sort of information is more critical, because we're permitting a project relative to disturbance on the site. So it's Natural Heritage asked that this future disturbance be included in that calculation. So that's, I think, the type of information that we have to show.
wouldn't the water department need to be in on this, and they're not quite yet?
Quite possibly, oh, yeah, to provide some input potentially, yeah.
Who is DEP talking with other than TESA? Should they not be talking with the town then?
So,
NHESP.
yeah, so NHESP brought this up as part of our meeting specific to the field expansion. And we were not aware that this was going to be a requirement prior to this meeting. So yes, I do believe this is something that the town needs to get involved in as well. There was also the question of whether or not TESA would be the permit holder or if the town needed to be the permit holder.
Permit holder for the expansion.
The permit, well, we're talking about for the permit from Natural Heritage, the rare species habitat alteration permit. And so it's, since the town would be kind of doing the well project and is the land being leased to TESA? I forget what the arrangement is, but technically the town should at least be a co-permittee, if not just the sole permittee.
Are you saying a permittee on the CR?
No, on the permit from Natural Heritage, the conservation and management permit. On the CR, the grantee would be the town, and I'm sorry, the grantor would be the town or the water department, and the grantee would be North Country, North County, I'm sorry. And so well,
This brings up another question then. I am wondering if TESA needs to take a step back and it's the town that needs to be applying for the permits. Is that what we're saying here? As opposed to TESA? This is something that I thought about when I went to that grant meeting at DEP that Melissa Crine was working on, the water grant thing. And it was the first time that I thought, should it be the town that's applying because we could get funds for the expansion of the soccer fields, as opposed to the way we've done it is through a lease to TESA, and then TESA gets the work permitted for their site in that in Squanicook Meadows. This is bigger, is what I'm hearing.
So I think if TESA and the town are co-permit holders, then TESA can continue with what we're doing to try and get this build done. I think if the town becomes the single holder, then yeah, it would kind of put it in your pocket to decide if TESA can go ahead or if the town would be working on the build.
So we had filled out whatever form for Dillis and Roy to allow the work to go forward. The town has pretty much said, here you go, TESA. But this is a different piece of the property. I guess I was thinking that the CR would just be put over the whole piece, and we would either survey out and say it's not covered under the CR, or we would put that in that this decision hasn't been made yet, or we would put the CR on the entire property with, again, that piece for TESA surveyed out with different uses, just like the piece for the water department has different uses.
Right. So I think we can continue with that vein. The question is not specifically for the CR, I don't think, is who is going to hold the conservation and management permit. I think the only way it affects the CR is that whomever is holding it has to then say that the CR holder is a permittee. Does that make sense? Am I saying that right, Dan? You're shaking your head, so I think.
It sounds right. Yeah, it's complicated with if there's co-permittees, but no, I think that makes sense.
So the co-permitting is between the holder of the CR, once the CR is in place, CMP,
No,
and
holder-
TESA?
the permit holder is the one doing the work, the alteration of the land. So that's TESA and the town potentially. The holder of the CR does not need a permit. They're just agreeing to take the land and hold it in conservation, and inspect it and monitor it and all that.
Monitor uses, right. I think, from my standpoint, I would want to have a conversation with town council.
Yeah,
on this.
definitely. This was meant to kind of give the information so you have an idea. But yeah, I didn't think this would be decided tonight.
Yeah, do you have anything in writing from Miss Deanne?
No,
Can we get
not that I've
something
seen.
in writing from Miss Deanne? Because I would want that.
I'm sure we could request that. I think.
So that it's clear what is being asked for. And I would want, since they're the ones asking, I would want this from them.
Can I just say one thing? Way back when this committee started, I tried to get some help and advice from Natural Heritage, and nobody would even respond. And now it's like 11:30 in our whole process, and suddenly we've got this new big issue that has to be figured out. And I'm concerned that this is going to end up taking so much time that by the time this comes to fruition, the town government, which may not be the current individuals, may just toss it, and there won't be any protection on that property. And that's really too bad.
I
Just
just
wanna say
want to
that.
note that Anna Wilkins has just arrived. So anyway, I agree with Emily a little bit on this. This isn't something that we anticipated, but it is something we have to think about. Is the committee, James Gates is here, is the committee okay with me having him ask a question?
Yep.
Go ahead, James.
It's not really a question, more of a statement. Them moving the goalpost was a huge surprise to us in regards to the well.
Oh, you're speaking for TESA.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mike gets this for the other side. It was a surprise. And I would encourage us to reach out to Mike Jones, to talk to him or involve him more in this discussion. I know we tried to do this off purpose, but I at least tried to talk to them. I've talked to them in the past. We have Zoom calls from during COVID that
Right, from way back. I was
And
on
nothing-
those Zoom calls.
and nothing was indicated about the well. They knew about the well the entire time, but at no point did they say this has to be part of the permit, which it also doesn't surprise me because they like to permit things as a whole.
So let me just, try to, for
terribly sorry,
Anna
I'm
has
late.
just arrived and, so correct me if I say this wrong, but, NHESP
Yeah.
through Miss Deanne is, requiring further, exploration and, definition on the water piece of that property before looking at issuing a permit. Do I have that right, Selena and Dan?
Yeah, demarcation is kind of the key of identifying an easement for future development of the well and having that clear to everyone on the conservation restriction plan.
Not a bad idea, actually.
That's what we would be requiring as well.
Okay.
And Anna, as part of that, the conceptual limit of work of that would be considered, impact towards the project. So there's now two components, the soccer field expansion and the well development, even though there's no date or certainty that it's going to happen, but this allows the project to be pre-permitted for when it does, come time to do it. So, North County would certainly need to understand what's in this easement, what's kind of the limits of this work, but they're not requiring the full, engineering of the well development and all that. That can be done when the time comes. So we're just counting, how much square footage or acreage of theoretical work would be required for this, and we're just mitigating for it up front in order to get our permit from Natural Heritage.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Dan, you're with LEC Environmental.
Yeah, I'm at LEC Environmental. So Teza has hired me. I'm a biologist, so I'm kind of coordinating the permitting with Natural Heritage, and also we have to go to MIPA for this. So I'm coordinating that as well. So I've I've been involved in the two recent meetings with Miss Deanne Merrill. And so that's just our recent meeting earlier this week, or maybe it was last week. Anyway, that's the kind of new information that she's requiring in order to qualify for the MESA conservation and management permit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in my experience with other projects, it's not unheard of. It's reasonable, I think. I think just the next step, in my opinion, would be get Dillis and Roy to produce at least a conceptual CR plan. So then North County can review it, and then you can talk to the water department, town council, town administrator, and then it's clear to everybody. And as part of that, we've pretty much settled on the limits of the soccer field project. So that would be on the plan. So I think the work would be defined, and then it's just a matter of how do we all come together to get the necessary signatures, to get this all to start the permitting process.
Yeah. So I just want to note a couple things. One, Kieran Meehan is on the call. He's listening. He's our interim town administrator, and I had asked him to attend.
Great, thank you.
And the other thing is that as far as the water piece goes, we hadn't yet discussed demarking that in the plan, but I think that's a good idea. We did have, as far as allowed use and protections for that property, the town zoning bylaw 14554 groundwater protection is what we put in there for allowed uses, prohibited uses for that water piece of the property. And the other thing I want to say, because I have my cell phone here, is that Kieran just texted me that he would be willing to speak up if we wanted him to. So, Kieran, I don't know if you have a few things to say, but you have the floor if you would like to have it.
Yeah, so if you can hear me okay, if not, scream and shout. So I think my first question is, are all these easements necessary when it's across multiple parcels to get to the well site? Can you do it just for the parcel that's needed right now and then subject to for the next one?
So the well site easement actually doesn't cross multiple parcels because it comes from Horseshoe Drive. It's between a couple of the houses on Horseshoe Drive going out to the well. At least that is what the water department indicated in a previous email.
Exactly.
So the access is not from the ball fields per se, like driving access, to the question of how wide will the roadway be?
No, it is. Can you see the map that Dan just brought up?
Yes.
So the space in between the houses right there on Horseshoe Drive is the space that the water department indicated was where they would put the road to the well.
Got it. Cool.
And so it's completely, it's not at all part of the soccer field section of the property.
Right.
Right. And that, I mean, can I speak?
Yes,
Yeah.
just identify yourself for the
Okay,
people.
Anna Wilkins from North County Land Trust. My initial reaction was, is there a way to limit that I see a little bit onto the parcel that will be the majority of the restriction, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way to
So
carve that off? or make
this
that
is
a
not
separate-
the current full soccer
Okay.
plan.
Okay, right. That's right. Because the other, right. Or is there a way to, so no matter what, we're going to need Dillis and Roy to demarcate the extent of the conservation restriction, or the area that the conservation restriction will cover. And because conservation restrictions are an overlay on top of all of the other things, right? So
Correct.
So we need to do that anyway for
The BDR, the application.
everything,
Yeah.
right? For the conservation restriction draft to even be submitted to the state, we need that.
Right.
The handling of the well site, in my mind, was going to be delineated as a special use area within the conservation restriction. So it's like a subcategory of that restriction would say, okay, everything, has these limitations, allowed uses. Then say there's a special use area, which also has this, whatever the groundwater uses.
Yes, the groundwater protection area.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would be defined within the conservation restriction. So in my mind, it's fairly straightforward, and it's not necessarily outside of the process that we're going through now if we're keeping everything together. If we're carving off into two separate parcels, that's where I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for there to be two processes, right? But again, we were talking about whether or not all of the land,
is in the
was in the
CR. I guess in my mind, what makes sense to me is the entire parcel. It's more than one parcel, but
Right, the
Squanicook
entire
Meadows, the
property,
entire
yeah.
property known as Squanicook Meadows would have the CR placed on it. And then there would be a section carved out for a recreation area that
Right.
has different allowed uses
And
from the
then
section carved out for the water,
water.
which has different restrictions and allowed uses.
Okay.
And then just a generic CR on the rest of it, is the way I saw it. So kind of a whole piece with 2 layers.
Yeah. Okay, that is, I think that's slightly different than what we had
Previously
discussed.
discussed. We had
Okay.
discussed removing
The
the
soccer fields from the CR.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so,
But with this, it sounds like soccer isn't gonna get the permit unless the water thing
It's
is
all
looked at, and
together.
unless it's all put in one piece under the CR.
okay,
So,
Less than ideal
Veronica,
for-
were you suggesting all these parcels here would be lumped into the CR as well?
yes,
now
what
we are, that's what we're talking about now. Or originally, not so much, but.
Well, so
now
originally,
we
I
are.
believe they were all included, but it was mostly just the south side of the parking lot, that ridge line, that was in the CR, and the soccer fields themselves were excluded. But it contained all of those parcels because that whole thing is Squanicook Meadows. Does that make sense?
Okay. I'm just wondering if that complicates for the permitting. You know, this is going to be all mostly developed and permitted for development. So all natural heritage would want is this parcel alone to be in the CR. That would
So
be my
they
understanding.
do not want the soccer fields in the CR, even though there's species activity in that section.
Correct, because they're essentially, we're asking for a permit for altering rare species habitat. We're avoiding and minimizing it, but we're mitigating it. So they're allowing us to permanently alter their habitat in return for permanently protecting a larger amount over here, which is more valuable, or, you know, much of it is, you know, it's highly valuable. So that's how I'm envisioning it. So that would simplify this, you know, because otherwise North County would be responsible for parking lot O&M plans, and, you know, I don't know, but that's not my expertise. But I was just envisioning just this parcel here.
Well, that was our original plan. Okay.
But there is
I don't know what
some fields, you know, that would have to be identified in the CR, the existing field, and there's a little bit of new work connecting out to here.
Yeah, it's basically just a fence line to keep people on the soccer side, but not going over to the habitat side.
So that piece would have the CR on it if we went that route. So can I just ask Mike and Emily, what do you guys think? Just off the top of your head.
Well, okay, not knowing the legalese of it, but it seems to me, if we go back to the original plan, why can't we just include and not include the soccer fields, but just include the habitat part of it to incorporate this worst case scenario plan, delineate specific the parameters and whatever was going to be built on it. Why can't that be just part of the CR rather than the whole thing?
and can I just put out another, not to muddy the waters, but it might.
Don't muddy away.
Stomping through the mud puddles. No, I mean, so one of the issues that was discussed way back was that this is municipal land. And if at any point in time, like general purpose is municipal land, which is why the conservation restriction is that much more valuable. One thought that I put out there is, do you want to take advantage of this time to permanently protect both the recreation aspect of it, and the conservation aspect of it? We can do two separate CRs, one that covers the MESA area and one that covers recreation fields at it, and that doesn't necessarily have to do anything with your MESA permitting, and it can be done at another time. Or it can be done kind of, you
Not
know,
the same
at the same time, but it's not, it's a separate document that does a different thing
for the recreation.
for the recreation piece. To make sure that it stays in recreation and not like, you know, say, you know, soccer goes out of style. We all know it's up and coming and it's going to continue to be more and more popular. But, you know, say, you know, 100 years from now, soccer is no longer a fad and everybody's got computer chips in their head and nobody goes outside. You know, we still want the land to be open and undeveloped. So there is value in the town considering to protect that open space as open space and recreational space, either with a CR or transferring those parcels to the care and custody of the rec department, or transferring those parcels to the care and custody of the Conservation Commission,
or the cemetery and parks.
Or the cemetery and parks. So, so there's different ways to like handle that piece of making sure that the intention of those fields, it continues to be available to future generations. Does that make
If there were
sense?
two CRs, would North County be willing to hold both of them, or just that one that for Habitat?
I would have to go through the process again, because when we were out there with our lands committee, and I was going to mention the votes that we got both at the lands committee and the board did not include the soccer fields, because that's what we were talking about at that time. So if we wanted to include them, I'd have to go back to get those approvals. It's just it's a conversation I can bring up with them. I can bring that through our process.
So if we didn't put the CR on the soccer fields and we just put it, which is what I think Miss Deanne was requesting, if we just put the CR on the habitat, major habitat piece and the water piece, that whole piece, would that be sufficient for the permitting process for TESA? And then we could consider whether to put a CR on the, or how to permanently protect the recreational piece of the property at a later time.
Yes, that's correct.
What kind of process would it be to put it in the care and custody of a recreational department? Is that a big deal, or is that a relatively minor thing?
I think it's probably a relatively minor thing. We'd have to, you know, it looks like it's already separated for the most part. That one, the bigger soccer field and that fence line would be within the CR, but it always was going to be. I think that the other piece is more of a deed thing, and redoing the deed, having.
You'd have to do, though, and maybe Karen knows, I don't know, Karen, if you know that process very well. I mean, in a town, I'm dealing with city stuff right now. It's slightly different than town stuff, but I think it's a select board thing. I think the select board can transfer, but I don't know if it has to be a warrant. Like, I don't know if it needs town meeting vote. That's my question.
So just, I'm listening to you guys and I can hear you. That's a really good question. If you can still hear me.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yeah, Kieran from the town administrator's office. So what comes to mind to me is a process that we also did for another parcel down in near South Harbor for the fire museum. And I do believe, and Veronica knows better than I, was a town meeting necessary for that to allocate it out by the select board?
The reason town meeting was necessary was because of the 50-year lease. If it wasn't for the 50-year lease, I don't believe town meeting would have been necessary.
Okay. So I can double check that, or we can, maybe Veronica and I can both check that with town council just to confirm that for you guys in the effort. Just to make sure we, cross all the right T's and dot all the right I's. So.
Yeah. I know that for things like the expansion of the senior center, that was done. That didn't need to go to town meeting. That was all under the select board. Deciding to do it, all of that. That was all not it was the 50-year piece that necessitated it to go to town meeting. So,
yeah, so I guess, if the real question or debate, and I don't know how your committees run, but, there are certain legal entities that can hold land, ag commissions, conservation commissions, parks and rec commissions, cemetery. So, it's just who's appropriate, who's the best fit for that.
Yeah.
In town. And that's different in every town. It has to do with the people involved and how it's set up and all sorts of things. So
yeah, we'd have to talk about that.
If that were to happen, that would seem to simplify things a great deal.
Well, it would mirror the vote that MCLT took if we separated the two, which is the path we were going down at the time that we walked. And was it November? Early November?
Or just
later.
It
was November. It was early.
Yeah.
Around
November.
Halloween.
I remember because we were so surprised to see that turtle. She stole the show.
But if this whole thing was initiated through TESA, and if TESA now had to deal with a different entity completely, they're out of the picture in terms of the habitat?
No, because part of their soccer fields are still in that big parcel right there. So I think it would simplify things, Mike, yes, because then we wouldn't have to go back to North County and redo things. We can, I see very clearly a way for the restriction to fit over both the soccer field that's within that parcel and the well site, future well site, that would still track, with the current progress that's been made so far.
Can I ask a clarifying question? In the CR document that we had been working on, we called out the 40-acre property, including parcel B2, B1, D, B3A, and excluding the TESA soccer complex area.
Yes.
So can I share the map that we have for the TESA? So can you guys see the yellow?
Yep.
So originally we said we were going to include all of the different parcels and just block out the soccer fields and the roads, like all of that area. But it did make it so the CR was going to include, like I said, this ridge line and these parcels. So is that still what we're talking about, or are we talking about only doing this one large?
So right now, in light of what Dan was saying, I was thinking that the simplifying of the process would be to just keep it to the parcel that MISA is requiring for your permitting.
Just this large parcel.
Right.
And
because it sounds like MISA doesn't really care. I mean, maybe they would think it's lovely, but if so, and let me add this little piece is that if we're having Dillis and Roy come out and do a plan, it's going to be cheaper if we're using existing lot lines than making new ones for that shapefile. But, you know, having said that, I know Emily's probably saying, well, there's still habitat there. We should probably include it. Because we want to make sure that, you know, the driveway doesn't get expanded or that way or whatever. So, you know, to me, it's this shape that you're showing us now in yellow is what North County Land Trust is prepared to take on in terms of the conservation restriction area. So that's not a problem. I think if it were changing minimally, you know, they wouldn't balk at any of that. But if we're doing something that changes acreages or, you know, overall concepts, dramatically, we would have to go back for approval. So, you know, I was just thinking in light of what Dan was saying about what was actually required for the permitting and understanding that, you know, Tace has been through a lot to even get this far. And I was just kind of trying to say, well, you know, the most simple thing we could do is, you know, keep it to one parcel. And then, because if you're, you know, the other concept that was brought in, Selena, that I think I was trying to simplify was this, like, how do we protect all of the land?
Right.
And keep it for recreation in the future. If the CR isn't covering it, it's still municipal use. And, you know, yes, the CR goes, you know, up the driveway, but you can still put, you know, your elementary school there or whatever.
Okay.
So are we including that area to the side of the access road?
I think that's what we're discussing now. Do you want to give your 2 cents on that?
This last spring, there was at least one wood turtle down there, and the spring before that, there was a Blandings down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
And Emily, I want to say, like, I'm not advocating for it not to be a protected area, but I think if there's concern about the long-term protection of the entire, like all of those parcels, it's once there's a CR, it can't be subdivided, right? So you'd lose the opportunity to, I'm trying to think of how you would protect the soccer fields area from potential conversion after you put a conservation restriction over the parcels, over just a small portion of the parcels. You'd have to have like another CR, or I'm just trying to think through. It's probably doable.
I think the simplest thing, this is me, is to keep the 2 parcels or 3 parcels on the right there where the main part of the soccer complex is. If we keep that out of the CR, just put the CR on the piece, the larger piece, and then get the permitting done, and then have the town come back and look at how to protect the soccer piece of things. Makes the most sense. And to protect it for recreation for the town, so it doesn't have a school or houses.
Yeah.
Or,
you know, and actually, now that you're talking about, I'm so done. The CR can totally go up the driveway and you can still just transfer the care and custody of the underlying parcels to a different board. The CR would still be in effect.
If we
That would be good.
surveyed out that
So
narrow
that's, yeah,
strip.
yes.
Okay.
So I'm just, I don't know why I had a mental block on that. Yeah,
Okay.
you could do both.
And what about the soccer field, the farthest soccer field, that one, yes.
Yeah,
Is that in the CR or not in the CR?
it doesn't have to be. It
We,
doesn't
we
have to be.
could do
You
what
could-
we had planned.
As long as, Dan, as long as that was okay, with Misty Ann, that concept,
I mean, it's understood that continued use of that as soccer will be permitted. I think it's up. If we're putting the CR on just a large parcel, I think that might be up to the grantee how they want to have it allowed.
Okay.
It might be the language in the CR itself that the grantee is comfortable with.
Yeah.
But I don't using natural heritage's template, that may be covered already, but it's understood that that's going to be designated clearly and monumented and continued use allowed.
yeah,
So if you're comfortable as the grantee, with that, then I think that's fine with natural heritage.
okay. So then, yes, I think we can stay with the yellow lines with our original concept
Okay.
for the CR. The next step is to get that surveyed so that it's on a plan and that the bounds for it, I know, Celine, you said that, there will be fence lines, but we'll need to have iron pins or some sort of monuments on the corners, that could be found.
Yeah, they probably, want granite markers at some of the major corners and iron pins, or if there's numerous kind of turns, that iron pins are acceptable often.
Okay.
But yeah, the major corners should have granite markers. So Dillis and Rye, you guys do plenty of these, whatever you guys have had experience with.
Yeah, it's a combination of both. Yeah, like Dan said, the majors will do the bounds. It depends on the town, on the town. basis, too.
Townsend requires granite posts,
Yeah.
but they waive them
Okay.
for iron pins on a regular basis. So you would have to work that out, I guess.
I'm fine with either. It just has to be a permanent something. Granite is expensive, but
It is.
it's pretty and it's easier to find over time.
It is, that is true.
And the digging on this site probably isn't gonna be too bad, I would expect.
Oh, yeah,
Nice sand.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
you
there's
had
a
walkies. Yeah.
there's already some granite markers. Like there's one here at the corner of this field. There's one up here that we found when we were doing the site walk. So there's some already there, but yeah, for like specifying these things, I understand.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, there's now going to be one CR, and it's going to cover all of this. And the yellow area will be the recreational.
So there'll be one CR that covers everything except for the area outlined in yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what my board agreed to.
So
Mhm.
the area in yellow is outside
Yeah.
the CR.
Do you want me to share the current working document that we have? Or no?
Yes, but not just this. Well, yeah, go ahead. Let's look at it and see what we have.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Because this is what we've been sharing with, North County.
So, this is the part where it says,
Can you make it a little bit bigger, Selena?
yes. Whoop. That better?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
better. Thank you.
Portion of the 40-acre parcel. Yep. And I think my guesstimate was like, it was like 26 acres.
But that with the CR would actually
Yeah.
cover, yeah.
But Dilton Roy will tell us exactly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've written it the way, blocking out the yellow part of those, 4 parcels. I think it's 4. So, so if we do that, so that takes care of the soccer piece to satisfy what NHESP wants for the water. We have to also identify exactly the water piece,
Right.
correct?
Correct. And I believe it was fairly minimal in the email from the water superintendent. I almost called him water guy. Sorry, I'm sorry. You have names. They're just gone. It's been a long day. It sounded like in his email, it was only like 700 square feet for the actual well site.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's tiny.
And then access.
Yeah,
And then the
that's-
access
that-
road.
A lot of time, yeah, the access road will be, because I think the well's located all the way on the back slope,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so. If you have a 20, I mean, I don't have exact measurements here, but if you have a 20-foot wide gravel access road with a little turnout plus an operation building around that, it does add up quickly.
Yeah.
So I think that's the number that Ms. Deanne is most critical, because we're
Yes.
summarizing this overall disturbance on the site. So that's the piece that she's looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the piece that my board is interested in too, since it's not there now.
Right.
It's difficult for us to, well, I mean, there's plenty of times when people will reserve a house envelope or something within it's a reserved right, basically, within the conservation restriction. But it has to be very clearly defined. So we can do sort of an envelope that would be the most conservative maximum they would need. Does that make sense?
Most conservative maximum.
Well, that's what I was thinking. You have to find the sweet spot, because
Yeah.
if you go to the certain people on the water, some water guy
Yeah.
will,
I'm sorry.
what might say, well, geez, if we really want to do it right, we're going to need this size building, we're going to need this, and the next thing you know, you've got this expansive project,
Mhm.
which we don't want.
No.
So it's right. The way you put it, it's like the maximum.
The most
Most
conservative
conservative
maximum.
Conservative maximum.
I've written it down.
Yeah.
All right, so,
So I gotta just say, so the plan is that you would make the plan and then bounce it off the water department to see if it was acceptable with them?
That seems reasonable to me. I would not be getting into the design. It sounded like they have their own design consultant engineer for that
mhm.
work particular, but I could at least create an envelope conceptually on paper and maybe sketching an access road, a building, and the well, and
Yeah.
see if that would.
Yeah.
And Ryan, have you talked to the water department at all?
Not yet. This conversation just started at the end of last week, so.
Okay, all right, good. Selena, would you put the CR back up? I want to look at the part where we, talked about water, the groundwater protection area or whatever. That 145, whatever
Yep.
the 54 groundwater protection. To see if, I'm looking to see if we put anything about designating that area. is what I'm looking for. And I think I had given, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and is this under allowed uses?
Yeah, so this is, oh, sorry, I went too far. Reserved rights in the premises.
So in there, we could define that area exactly.
Yeah, I think what will be added here is as shown on plan, recorded in, what are you, in Middlesex,
Middlesex,
South Registry of Deeds, plan number, book page, whatever. And in exhibit at the end of the document.
Okay.
It'll be in both places. And I tend to do the overall plan in the minimized, and then a zoom in of that area as another exhibit.
Okay. So this is on same kind of idea, but just a little sidestep here. The CR model that we chose to use was the NHESP model. We had talked about changing the template to the EOEA template is slightly different from theirs. Are we sticking with the NHESP model? Is that what Ms. Deanne seemed to indicate?
So that did come up during the meeting, and she said it was really important that we work from the NHESP current CR. She said it has changed, and she was going to send us the newest draft of it, but she said that the EEA one is not recommended.
Mm-hmm.
That was what Mike Jones had told us way back when, and I forget exactly who sent me this, but they sent it to me in 2022, maybe 2021, 2020.
Yep.
When we were doing this during COVID, James, that's where this came from.
So there may be a newer.
That's on my list to remind her to send that to us. So I'll ask her tomorrow to make sure. But it might be time consuming to compare. But I don't think it's going to be dramatically different.
Yeah, we might just be able to pick up what we've done and plop it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And I wasn't, when I was looking over this draft, I wasn't necessarily saying we would change completely the template, but that I might bring elements of the EEA one into this one.
Okay.
Ms. Deanne, kind of cautioned us, the more kind of nitpicking and changes from, town councils and things like that, then it gets now, instead of Ms. Deanne being able to review it, she'd have to have NHESP council review it, so it could add some time and complexity to it, so just keep that in mind. But, you have, at the end of the day, you got to get what works for the grantee, so.
That's right.
Okay.
She had also mentioned a couple of what she called red flags, and one was saying no use of herbicides and pesticides. But it looks like we put it in here that it just needs permission.
Right.
So I think.
Will that pass? Do you think?
Well, yeah, I think the permission.
Oh, but here is where we say that you can't use it. So her reasoning was that if you say no herbicides or pesticides, sometimes they are necessary for habitat management. Especially, she said, herbicides may become necessary to habitat management unless you want to dig out every stem of every invasive plant. And that for pesticides, there could be problems in the future, such as the invasive hornet comes and builds a nest right next to the fields on the CR property, and it says you can't use a pesticide, but it would be needed in this case.
Mhm. Yeah, Selena, where did you highlight where it says with prior permission?
So this is in the reserved rights on the
Right.
premises.
Right, so the way that conservation restrictions are set up is that you list out everything that's prohibited,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kind of claw back certain things that you've already prohibited, right?
Okay, so that's why having it up above where it says it's not allowed, and then below saying unless you get permission, that
Right.
covers both. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. Yep. Yep. So you're going to see things like you can't cut any trees, you can't cut any vegetation whatsoever. And then down below it will say, unless you're doing invasive management, you're doing management of this, that, or the other thing, you know. So it's very strange, but that's the way it's done.
Okay. The other red flag she mentioned was if we put in anything that is around ADA access, which I don't think we included anything in here about that.
I don't think we did. I don't remember even discussing it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I don't think it's an issue.
So putting in ADA access is an issue.
So her thing was not that it's an issue, it's that the way that some people word it when they put it in, it is not worded to be ADA is allowed. It is worded to be this particular mobility device is allowed. And then that device is allowed for everyone, not just the ADA compliance version of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know that that is needed in this. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it's usually in the section of motorized vehicles. So you typically prohibited use is motorized recreational vehicles. And then in the permitted uses will be motorized vehicles, you know, for people with disabilities is permitted. Or motorized vehicles that are aiding access for people with limited mobility, things like that. So that's typically, I think that's what she's probably talking about, is that a lot of people, the way that they try to make accommodations in there for, for people who are disabled, sometimes just opens the gate for anybody. Of
Right.
course, you'd have to be savvy enough to find the conservation restriction and read it, and then, I mean, you know, but if you were, you know, if you were suing somebody for ripping around on their dirt bike and their lawyer got a hold of the CR, they might.
So
But
it looks
I
like,
can look at that.
I think this looks like it was part of the original
Yeah,
template.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Can we move on to the habitat management component? I know that's, I have to leave it by 8:30, so if we could talk about that a little bit while Anna's here.
Habitat management.
So part of the permit, the requirements for the permit from Natural Heritage is maintenance or management of this turtle habitat. And so the grantee, you know, I think part of this may be something we designate on the plan, habitat management areas, or you know, that's to be discussed, but that's done in other projects similar to this, where you have like up here, habitat management A, this will be maintained in open sand for nesting. Area B will be mowed every, you know, trees will be cut every 5 years, things like that. So that's clearly got to be acceptable to North County, but it has to be kind of codified in a habitat management plan, and there has to be money set aside in an escrow for ensuring the long-term management. So North County will have to be on board with that. Is that something you've done in other CRs?
I've never had a CR that puts a requirement for an escrow account or anything like that. I have absolutely, there are conservation restrictions that require management plans for sure,
okay.
but never funding with it. So having the management plan and executing management plans is not a problem at all, especially if it's in support of or, enhancing the habitats and the values of the conservation values, basically. So at the beginning of the conservation restriction, we're going to outline all of the reasons, the reasons why this conservation restriction, like what are those conservation values that we're protecting? And as long as the management plan is in support of those conservation values, then we're good.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you come across a management plan that says, well, we're gonna convert this into, white pine forest or something that is not conducive to the conservation values, even if it is natural, we'd say you can't do that because it's not supporting the values that are expressed within this conservation restriction.
Okay. Yeah, the plan, would be exclusively for habitat of the two rare turtles.
So is that plan going to be written by NHESP or who is writing that?
No, that's our responsibility. So I typically write those, but I would certainly work with Emily or with North County, so that's another kind of side meeting we'll have to have. But, I can conceptually give you a guidance as to what I think is needed. But yeah, I'd love to have more Emily's input. Emily knows better than anyone probably how best to manage that for those turtles. So
okay.
But we do, this
great.
is something we need to develop, pretty on the sooner side, at least start thinking about it.
Yeah, Dan, are you able to do that mapping that you were talking about, like the zones for different things?
Yep.
Sit down with
absolutely. Yep.
Come up with that map.
Yep. And it may be maybe Emily and I, and maybe Anna and anyone else. We could do a walk and kind of brainstorm how we map out these different zones.
Mike, you might be good.
Maybe on Monday.
Monday, sure.
In the snowstorm.
And is this and then were you saying, Dan, that needed to be on a survey or just like a sketch plan like you would see in a forest management plan?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be on a surveyed plan. It might be useful to have these kind of areas on the CR plan, but I don't know if that's going to be required by Natural Heritage. But yeah, there would be a standalone turtle habitat management plan that would have whatever maps and diagrams was needed. And that plan is referenced in the CR. I saw it on the screen. It says, as indicated in the plan, the habitat plan or something. So
Right. It does mention that habitat plan a number of times.
We've talked about it and
we've talked about it and then we don't know what to do with this. We're hunting it.
Yeah. So yeah, I will take the lead on that, but I certainly want to do it collaboratively. So we can, whenever everyone wants to meet, we can have a kind of a side meeting about that.
Side quest. Okay.
Well, I'd like to be on that
Okay.
meeting.
Mike.
Yeah.
I think if it's Dan and Anna and Mike and Emily, I don't think it needs to be posted because it's not a quorum of this committee.
Okay,
That means you'll just have to fill me in.
Oh, that's right, Celine, I'm sorry.
So that's kind of a major component of the the permitting with natural heritage. So they need to know limit of work, CR plan, CR, and habitat management plan. So that's, once we have that together, we can kind of submit a draft permit application to Miss Deanne and kind of get her blessing on it. Looking ahead, the major permitting, or we have to do MIPA. So we would file our expanded ENF, that, just so you're all aware, because there's an environmental justice community. So here's the property in this green blob. It's an environmental justice community, and it's within a mile of the project. So it's an automatic environmental impact report. And,
Okay.
Selena, when we first met, we're thinking, is there some kind of exemption? This project is a soccer field. Do we really have to go through all this? But there really isn't. You have to just do it. So
Okay.
as a process, we have to do a 45 days advance notice to the community. And then we have to do outreach and, so all that. So we want to, once we kind of get a sense we're close to within that 45 days of ready to file, then we would get that going. So we're already starting it, but I know we need water department, consultation. So there's still a lot of things we got to get in order, but we may not be that far off from starting the process.
Yeah. Dan, do you have target dates for this?
I think once we get Dillis and Roy's CR plan, that's kind of, for me, once that's ready and everyone's reviewed it, then that's kind of the point where I think we're ready to start getting a timeline put together.
Okay.
So can I ask?
Do we know about when Dillis and Roy would be done with their step?
Dan, can that plan be conceptual, or does that need to be at the recordable level?
Good question. I think conceptual for now, to get it to everyone, all of the parties to review it is good.
Okay.
But showing a lot of the bounds and monuments and all that.
Okay.
I guess for me, I want, I think there needs to be a further discussion on the co-permitting between the town and TESA. And then I also think there needs to be a discussion about paying for all the pieces for the CR and the grants that we're going to apply for, we the town. So it's kind of a town TESA. There needs to be more talking about how that handshake works, who's responsible for what, and those sorts of things, and payment, because we are going to have to apply for grants to cover it. So, and NRWA has been very receptive. They're very invested in seeing this property have permanent protection because it's at the headwaters of the Squanicook.
So do we have an approximate time when Dillis and Roy would have a conceptual plan for us?
A concept of a plan?
I will get that. Getting married next weekend and going on honeymoon right away, so
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm scrambling before that, so I will have to get back to you tomorrow on an estimate, but I would say within a couple of weeks, probably. If not, it's my priority when I get back.
Yeah. Let's give you, okay, so you're getting married next weekend, and then you're going on a honeymoon.
Right. Yeah.
For a week or more?
We're back after President's Day, which is the 16th.
The 16th. Okay, so I would give you I don't know, do you need like 2 weeks after that? Or 3 weeks after that?
No, less than 2. I'd say 2 weeks after that would be plenty. Yeah.
Okay.
And certainly in February.
Okay, be reasonable with yourself.
I
Okay.
understand.
All right. We're getting married, come on.
No, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, so about by the end of February. And can we come up with a date to start working on the habitat management stuff? And do we have to walk the site because, this storm, unless we've got snowshoes, we can.
Yeah, we can do a virtual meeting with, just using the ortho photo as a starting point at least.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, is it better to do it in the evening or during the day for everybody?
It's better for me during the day because I can book it into my work day, but if I don't know, Emily, what's good for you?
Yeah, during the day works for me. And Mike, does that work for you?
Yeah, most days. There are a couple of days that are a little bit more grandfatherly.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Selena, do you want to take the lead or on coordinating, or do you want me to? Or do we have to keep Selena out to keep it not a quorum, I guess?
Right. Selena wasn't going to be doing this part.
Okay.
But she
So,
could coordinate. If
give you
that's easier.
Oh, just give you the boring stuff and not let you in on the party? I don't know. That's not fair.
As long as it's not a quorum and it doesn't need to be posted, that's the important thing, so.
Yeah. So Dan, if you are happy to run with it, that way you can.
Okay, I just want to make sure I don't think I have everybody's emails. I might have that. Who's the best person to just send a mass email to everybody?
If it's okay with Emily and Mike and Anna, I can forward your emails to Dan.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And are you generally around next week? We try to get right on it next week.
yeah, any day except Thursday for me next week. Mike?
I think any day but Monday. I think Monday I've got some things, so Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday. They're fine.
Monday. Okay, Monday, middle of the day is okay. Oh, you're busy Monday, sorry. Tuesday afternoon is okay. Wednesday is not good. Thursday is not good. Friday's okay.
So
But
Tuesday afternoon?
Tuesday, yeah. Tuesday morning, how about 9 or 10?
Tuesday afternoon is okay. Tuesday morning is booked for me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah. One's great.
Okay.
1
o'clock Tuesday.
Tuesday at 1, I'll try for that.
And I will get with Kieran and we'll see what needs to be done on the town side. Selena, I might want to talk to you more about the permitting thing and how that might work. So maybe I'll email you next week, and maybe you, Kieran, and I could get together sometime and talk about that. If that's okay with you, Kieran. I don't know if you're still there.
Yep, that works for me.
Okay, and we'll figure out all the permitting stuff and what we can do grant-wise and that sort of thing. How this works legally for the town. So,
Great.
okay, so I had a meeting penciled in for next week, Thursday, but I think we should push that out. And we can just meet in our own little subgroups to figure out the next, and then get together and talk about the habitat management. Selena, if you get the the template from, I don't know whether it's you or Dan that's getting the template from Misty to use, and I'll be willing to work with you for putting stuff in there back and forth if you want. So as a whole group, when do you guys think is the next best time to meet? Should we wait till Ryan's back?
No, we need to move on this. February 5th.
I can't do February 5th.
February 12th?
Okay, let me look at February 12th. I may be remote, but I could do February 12th.
That would work for me.
I can do it.
You can do it. Emily, how about February 12th?
February 12th works for me.
Dan, Anna,
That's not
Ryan's
school
still
vacation
away.
week, is it?
I think the following week is,
Okay, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's the week of
the following week is school vacation.
Yeah, I can do the 12th then.
Okay, so let's pencil in the 12th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
for our next meeting then. And I'll get a Zoom link and the room, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can do that. I better sign off tonight. I have to get my daughter. So I guess this was great. Thank you, everybody. I think we're made a lot of progress, and we'll keep this moving quickly. And one last thing, just is there a way that the water commissioner Ryan can get any information from them for what's needed for the footprint of the project?
We can forward that email, unless you have that already, Dan.
From Dave Bijan, do you have that?
I think I sent that, but if not, I can forward that as well.
Yeah, Selena, if you have it and want to forward it to Ryan, that would be helpful.
Did Dave mention that they have a concept plan?
He said that he was working on the 10-year master plan.
Right.
And this would be incorporated in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I saw the name on that recently for who's working on that, but
basically, Dan, I believe it's marked on the current survey plan. Is that right? The well site?
I don't think we have that information.
Well, he said
it's
where the test, it's where the test well is.
Yeah.
So, and that's on the grounds, like you can see the test well coming
Yeah,
up.
it might not be in the plan. It's,
so if
I'm pretty sure I have, the water department might have given us
Yeah.
something with it on.
yeah, I kind of feel like there was some map that had it on there.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. But I think it was this stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I better sign off, but thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan. All right, so, anything else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to
Well,
adjourn.
just a little guidance. So, I've tried to communicate with the Massachusetts Historical Society, the Commission,
Mhm.
and sent out emails, voice messages, and they just do not get back to me. So I described the situation. I asked 2 questions. Is the project notification form so-and-so the correct one? And do we need to wait until the project is completed, the restrictions have been accepted by the holder, all the funding has been secured, et cetera, before we initiate the review process? And
That would be a shame. I'm sorry. We had to wait until we were all done with everything.
well,
But go ahead.
I know, but the odd thing is, I've sent this twice. Last week, I said, I called, always working remotely from home. Can I get the number? Well, I can't give you his number, although I think I've clandestinely found his cell phone number, but I don't have used it yet. But he's very good about checking his voicemail. So I said, I've sent it a couple of times, December 10th, December 18th, and haven't heard anything. Could you please let me know if you have received them? And haven't heard nothing.
Mass Historical Commission?
Yeah. So I
They
can,
didn't respond to you sent in the form?
no, I was
Oh.
asking if, because there was some
Just send
question
in the
of whether
form.
we have to wait till the end or can we do the form now?
Do the form.
Just do the form?
Yeah.
Okay, start that process, okay.
Send in the form.
And essentially the same thing happened with Freedom's Way, inquiring about whether or not one of their grants would fit our needs, and they don't respond either.
No.
Well, I think, let's hold up on them,
Okay,
because I think it's more likely that the funding source will be different from them. I don't know. Do you know someone?
At Freedom's Way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know both people who work there. So I can just check to see what their workload's like, or what their deal is.
Yeah.
Or what the,
If there's anything that fits.
so Desiree used to be on our board, and she lives in town, so I could knock on her door, but she would be grumpy with me.
We don't want. Okay.
You're like, I'm home, I'm not working, just leave me alone.
so I should go ahead and start the process of filling out the application,
I think so.
okay?
Yes, I would do that. They've always answered me when I've sent in the form.
Okay,
So,
They're very,
you just can't ask a question about the form.
not, yeah,
That is,
it's a small operation.
do you know him, Michael Steinitz?
I don't, but I did, I'm surprised you got an email address to email from,
Oh, no, they give that one out, yeah.
because I've never, like, I'm like, I don't even know why they have one, because they don't answer their email.
Oh,
thanks, Mike.
yeah.
Anybody else have anything? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
There were a couple of other things on the agenda. Are we going to table them until next meeting, or are we going to?
Table them till the next meeting because we might have further answers. It was a timeline for CR completion with NCLT, including grant applications and support. I think we need to get some
Get
of
some more
our
information.
answers.
Yeah.
Questions answered before we can do that. And then the other was a discussion of the report for the select board from the CR committee, but I think I am going to report to them, but that also fits in with, our discussion, the discussion that Selena and Kieran and I have, so.
I do have the clerk's certificate of the votes.
You do?
Well, all right. Our clerk's internet was out, so she sent me a photograph of the site.
No, I think we need the real thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to her house tomorrow and pick it up, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you can send us the photograph, but we'll need the real thing.
Yeah,
So sending us the photograph would
yeah. I'm not.
would allow us to go to the select board and get something
Yeah.
definitive and et cetera.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right, so Veronica, for the meeting between Tesa and the town, you said you'll email me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll talk to Kieran. Kieran, you and I will talk. I'll send an email to all
Sounds
three of
good.
us.
All right, that was all I had. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Your hand's not up, is it, James?
I move that we adjourn.
Give your name, please, and
Emily Fine moves to adjourn at 8:37 p.m.
Selena
there-
Thomas, second.
all those in favor, roll call, please. Selena, how do you vote?
Selena Thomas, yes.
Emily Fine, yes.
Mike Potts said yes?
Veronica Cal, yes. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Good night.